Leyland Shan Camion stood in the grand ballroom, her posture regal, her cascading pink hair glowing under the chandelier's light. With every flick of her long lashes, her pink eyes, usually full of warmth, now burned with icy disdain as they locked onto Iris Jan Conrad, the daughter of a viscount. Iris had made the mistake of commenting on the princess's dress, and Leyland, the only daughter of the Camion family and one of the wealthiest in the kingdom, was not one to forgive slights, however unintentional they may have been. You, the daughter of a mere viscount, dare to call my dress vulgar? Leyland's voice dripped with venom, a tone that Iris hadn't expected. Iris, taken aback by the princess's accusation, shook her head slightly, her heart racing. All I intended to express was that the pattern of your dress is rather unique, Your Majesty. I'm not sure how you thought of that as being vulgar. Leyland scoffed, raising a brow. Do you, as the daughter of a viscount, have the right to judge the princess? The other guests watched silently, tension hanging in the air. Iris felt her palms grow sweaty. She hadn't meant to insult anyone, least of all the princess. But it was clear her words had been twisted into an accusation that now hung over her head. That's not what I was trying to do. Iris's voice faltered, but her words did little to appease the princess. Whatever the meaning behind your words, it cannot change the fact that you have just judged the Camion princess, Leyland declared, her eyes flashing. She wasn't just a princess. She was a symbol of wealth, power, and authority in their kingdom. In her mind, society wasn't built on the strength of one's family name, but on personal capabilities. And in this, she excelled above all. Leyland relished moments like these. Her role in the novel, as written, was that of the villain. But in this life, she refused to be pitted or undermined. She had spent 30 years of her previous life in Korea, struggling without money or fame. That experience had forged her spirit, making her unbreakable. Now, in this world, she had everything she ever lacked: power, wealth, and influence. She wasn't about to let a mere viscount's daughter challenge her status. Before Iris could muster another response, a familiar voice cut through the tension. What is all this commotion? It was him, the male lead of the story, the man Leyland had once been foolish enough to yearn for. The prince, whose perfect face made hearts flutter across the ballroom, stepped forward. He was the typical hero, the one destined to swoop in whenever the female lead, Iris, found herself in trouble. Leyland's lips curled in disdain. She knew the prince's game all too well. He might have been handsome, but his arrogance was insufferable. Leyland, he said coolly, how long will you continue causing scenes like this? A commotion? Is that all you have to say to me? Leyland's thoughts churned. She wanted to laugh at the absurdity. He stood before her, the man who had humiliated her, ignored her, and cheated on her with Iris. And now he had the audacity to scold her in public? There's a major difference between arrogance and confidence, Leyland responded, her voice sharp. I hope you learn that one day. The prince's cold smile never wavered. I was merely talking to her about the laws of nobility. While adorning her hair with wine, Leyland mocked, not even trying to hide her contempt. The prince shrugged. I thought it necessary to ensure she knew her place. Leyland's stomach twisted. He was a scoundrel, a womanizer, unworthy of any respect, yet the story had always portrayed him as the righteous male lead. She would not be a part of this script any longer. Let's head back, he said to Iris, dismissing Leyland as if she were nothing. Oh, that's right, Leyland called after them with a biting smile. We're no longer engaged, so I don't believe you should be speaking to me so informally. She straightened her spine, unbothered by the murmurs around her. The prince's expression darkened, but Leyland only smirked. Did he think she'd be scared of him? Just wait, she thought to herself. Even if I have to search the entire globe, I'll marry a man better than you, all while indulging in the riches from my house. She watched them leave, her heart hardened. This wasn't a story where the villainess would fall quietly. No, she had learned from her past life. Leyland Shan Camion would fight for what was hers, and no prince or protagonist could take that away from her. 8 years ago, when Casion was just a high school student, her world was simple. She had a crush on a guy 2 years her senior, and it felt like the biggest thing in her life at the time. When she entered college, they started dating, and everything seemed perfect. He was her Appa, and she admired him deeply. But not long after they began dating, he enlisted in the army. Casion stayed by his side, supporting him through it all, even when the distance became hard to bear. "Yes, Appa, I sent you the money," she would say during their calls, balancing work and her devotion to him as he prepared for the bar exam. She believed in him. She loved him. In her mind, they were building a future together. She worked at a company, dedicating herself to both her career and him, envisioning a life where all their hard work would pay off. But things didn't turn out the way she imagined. One day, she received a message from an old friend, Kim Eseron. The message was casual enough, but its contents shook Casion to her core. "Casion, I'm getting married to Appa next month. You'll come to the wedding, right?" For a moment, Casion couldn't breathe. Kim Eseron, who had been her friend, was marrying her boyfriend? Her head spun, trying to piece it all together. "You were both cheating on me behind my back, yet you dare ask me to come to the weddings?" Casion couldn't hold back her anger. The betrayal stung deeper than she could have imagined. "You're both so shameless." "What? I started dating Appa after you two broke up," Eseram protested, her voice defensive. "You said you didn't mind, and now you come and say this? Are you jealous that I'm getting married? Upset that I took Appa from you after he passed the bar exam? Jealous?" Casion felt a bitter laugh bubble up. What was there to be jealous of? "You have no idea how hard it was for him, because you always put pressure on him," Saram continued, trying to twist the narrative. But Casion wasn't having any of it. "Exactly what is there for me to feel jealous about?" Sajan's voice was cold, her emotions locked behind a wall of fury. She had devoted herself to him for years, and now they were treating her like the villain in their twisted story. "I'm way more capable than him," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. Kim Esrom, with her smug smile and self-righteousness, seemed to forget the depth of Sajan's loyalty. "You stole your friend's boyfriend, brought her an invitation to her ex's wedding, and had the nerve to ask her to congratulate you." Casion could barely believe the audacity. "You wanted to make me jealous just to boost your ego. I hope you never call me your friend again." The conversation ended, but the anger inside Casion didn't dissipate. Instead, it simmered, and she found herself trying to distract from the emotional storm within. She grabbed her phone, scrolling through romance novels online. Maybe something light could take her mind off things. But as she read, frustration welled up again. "What is this?" she mumbled, throwing her phone onto the bed. The novel featured a beautiful, smart villainess from a powerful family, begging for the love of a prince who didn't even care about her. It was infuriating. The heroine, of course, would be the one to win everything in the end. "If I were the villainess, I'd punch the crown prince first," Casion thought angrily. "Why beg for love from someone who treats you carelessly?" She sat there fuming, thinking of all the time she'd given her heart to someone who didn't value it. She had spent years supporting a man who would never appreciate her, just like the villainess in the novel. The parallels hit too close to home. If the one you like treats you like that, he's not worth it. Why couldn't she just find someone decent? Someone who would be kind, loyal, and love her in return? She let out a long sigh, feeling the weight of the day pressed down on her shoulders. Everything felt heavy. Her body, her mind, her heart. She lay down, pulling the blanket around herself, thinking, is it because today was just a bad day? As she drifted into sleep, her mind whirled with thoughts of betrayal and disappointment. Her last conscious thought was, I don't want to get up. When she finally woke, something was wrong. The blanket felt different, too soft, too unfamiliar. She opened her eyes, panic rising in her chest. This wasn't her bed. This wasn't her room. What is this? She whispered, sitting up in confusion. The bed was enormous, the room grand. Everything was too ornate, too luxurious. Fear crept in. Where was she? How had she ended up here? My hair. Is this a wig? She mumbled, running her hands through long, unfamiliar strands. Her heart raced. Did I get kidnapped? She wondered, panic growing. The clothes she wore, princess clothes, felt ridiculous. None of this made sense. What the hell is this? With her long, flowing black hair and striking purple eyes, Leyland was the embodiment of a classic villainess, the one everyone loved to hate in the novel Casion had just been reading. But now, staring into the mirror in front of her, Sajan's heart skipped a beat. Asterisk, why am I her? Asterisk. Panic surged through her. Asterisk, did I just possess her in the book? Asterisk, her mind raced, trying to process the impossible. Yet, when she caught another glimpse of her reflection, all she could think was, asterisk, so pretty asterisk, but there was no time for disbelief. A maid entered the room, smiling warmly. Ah, princess, you're already awake. You have to get ready quickly. Sajan blinked, still trying to wrap her mind around the fact that she had truly become Leyland. Asterisk, at least I'm not kidnapped, asterisk, she thought, feeling a strange sense of relief. Do you feel any discomfort? The maid asked. No, it's fine, Sajan replied, though nothing felt fine at all. Everything was far too luxurious, even more so than she'd imagined while reading the novel. But she couldn't deny that the smell of the room, the subtle scent of lavender, was nice. Do you like it? It's a new product that came in today, the maid said proudly. Asterisk, adaptation complete, asterisk, Sajan mused to herself. Asterisk, well, at least I'm fitting in, asterisk. Before she could ask more questions, the maid began bustling around. You need to shine more than anyone at today's Countess Asfin's party. Asterisk, Countess Asfin? Asterisk, Sajan thought. Asterisk, this is so unfamiliar, asterisk, still, she allowed herself to be led through the motions of preparing for the day. After all, she wasn't just a maid anymore. She was Leyland, and apparently, today was important. But as the preparations continued, Sajan's mind wandered. She recalled a scene from the novel. It was coming back to her now, the tea party, the drama. Leyland had made a fuss over something trivial, and Sajan, now in her shoes, cringed at the memory. Asterisk, great. I'm in the middle of one of the worst parts of the book, asterisk, she thought. Stop pushing me out, she muttered under her breath, as the maid adjusted her dress. Oh, if you show up like that at the next party, the maid continued, clearly unaware of Sajan's internal struggle. Please don't wear disgusting things again, Iris. Asterisk, I'm screwed, asterisk, Sajan thought. She felt a wave of dread wash over her. Asterisk, I'm going to be stuck in this villainous role, asterisk. Lady, are you feeling unwell? The maid asked, noticing her hesitation. No, I just feel like someone might try to grab me by the hair if I go to this party, Sajan joked half seriously. The maid laughed. Oh, don't worry. We'll redo your hair, and everything will be fine. Asterisk, that's not what I meant, asterisk, Sajan sighed, realizing her sarcasm had gone unnoticed. As the maid tightened her corset, Sajan let out a yelp. Asterisk, are you trying to kill me? Asterisk, the maid just smiled, assuring her it was necessary. After what felt like hours of fussing, Sajan finally looked in the mirror again. She couldn't deny it. She looked beautiful. Asterisk, I am pretty, asterisk, she thought, momentarily distracted by her reflection. You're the prettiest flower here, my lady, the maid exclaimed. Asterisk, okay, fine, asterisk, Sajan thought. Asterisk, I'll let the main characters have their drama. I'll just enjoy the money, asterisk. She resolved to stay out of the novel's chaos as much as possible. As she was escorted to the banquet hall, though, her resolve wavered. Everything felt surreal. The grandeur, the attention, the whispers. Asterisk, I feel like a zoo animal, asterisk, Sajan thought, trying not to cringe as all eyes turned to her. Princess, how are you feeling? I heard you were sick, a familiar voice asked. One of Leyland's followers, just as she remembered from the book. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, Sajan replied, smiling politely. She knew these followers were only around for their own gain, but she played along. Then, Iris appeared. Sajan's heart sank. Asterisk, oh no, asterisk, she thought. This was the heroine, the one who would end up with everything, including Leyland's fiancé. Sajan had hoped to avoid her, but there she was, walking straight toward her. It's been a while, Princess Leyland, Iris greeted with a confident smile. Sajan braced herself. Asterisk, was this in the book? Asterisk, she wondered, trying to recall the details. I know you don't want to receive my greetings, but I have something to ask you, Iris continued, her tone syrupy sweet. Asterisk, that's why I took the liberty of speaking to you, asterisk. Casion raised an eyebrow. Asterisk, something to ask me? Asterisk, she echoed, curious now. My dress today? I'm worried. Do you think it's disgusting? Iris asked, feigning innocence. Casion nearly laughed out loud. Asterisk, you've got a lot of nerve, asterisk, she thought, recalling how Iris had stolen not only Layleen's fiancé, but also her spotlight. But instead of reacting with anger, Casion smiled. Asterisk, I can play this game too, asterisk. It's pretty, Casion said calmly. Sorry. Iris blinked, clearly taken aback. Yeah, I understand what you tried to do, Casion replied with a smirk. Asterisk, but I'm too lazy to fight back. You can have the guy, the dress, whatever. I've got money. I'll be fine, asterisk. You've become so open-minded in such a short time, Iris commented, suspicion creeping into her voice. Asterisk, I don't care about this drama anymore, asterisk, Casion thought. Asterisk, I've got bigger plans, asterisk. With that, Casion turned and walked away, leaving Iris standing there, confused. She had no interest in playing the villainous role anymore. She would create her own path in this story, even if it meant rewriting the rules. The morning light filtered through the luxurious drapes, casting a soft glow over the grand bedroom. Lily blinked awake, confused by her surroundings. She wasn't in her small apartment anymore. Instead, she was surrounded by ornate furniture, a canopy bed draped in fine silks, and a scent of lavender lingering in the air. For a moment, she thought it was a dream, until reality hit her. Lily had somehow found herself in the body of a character from a novel she'd been reading. Laylin, the infamous villainess with long black hair and piercing purple eyes. She marveled at her reflection, admiring the beauty of the woman she now inhabited. Is this really happening? She thought, a mixture of disbelief and excitement bubbling within her. There was a knock at the door. A maid entered, bowing politely. Princess, you're awake early today. We must prepare you for the Countess Aspina's party. Lily, still in shock, mumbled a response. Yes, sure. Her thoughts raced as the maid bustled around her, fixing her hair, dressing her in luxurious fabrics. Asterisk, so I really did possess Layleen's body. At least I'm not kidnapped. Asterisk, the corners of her mouth twitched upward. Despite the absurdity, there was something thrilling about living in this world, even if Laylin was destined to be the story's villainess. As the preparations continued, Lily couldn't help but feel conflicted. She knew how the story went. Laylin was supposed to meddle with the heroine, Iris, but why did it have to be this way? Why did Laylin always have to be the bad guy? She had money, power, everything a person could want, yet she was painted as foolish. Suddenly, the conversation snapped her back to the present. Countess Aspina's party is today, princess. You must outshine everyone there, the maid chirped excitedly. Lily raised an eyebrow, feeling a pang of dread. What's the big deal about this party? She had no recollection of the event from the novel, but something told her it would be another battlefield of snide remarks and competition. When she arrived at the grand hall later, the stares began. Whispers filled the room as she made her entrance, her confidence faltering for just a moment. Am I really supposed to play the villain? Iris, the heroine, stood by the punch table, wearing a dress Lily recognized immediately. It was from Rosemary's latest collection, a brand only the elite could afford. Lily couldn't help but notice how Iris beamed in it, proud and poised. For a brief moment, their eyes met, and Lily saw the flash of insecurity that Iris quickly masked. Princess Laylin, Iris greeted, her voice a little too sweet. I was just wondering, what do you think of my dress? Lily had to stop herself from laughing out loud. Here we go, she thought. Iris was baiting her, hoping to provoke a reaction that would fit the role of the villainess. But Lily had no intention of falling into that trap. She was done being the story's fool. You look stunning, Lily replied, a smile playing on her lips. Rosemary's designs are always beautiful. The surprise on Iris's face was priceless. Clearly, she hadn't expected a compliment. Lily could feel the shift in the room, the tension easing as the other guests waited for a fight that never came. Maybe being the villain doesn't have to mean being stupid, Lily mused as she turned away from Iris. I'll let them all think what they want, but I'm not playing this game the way it's written. Across the room, a figure caught her eye, tall, with tousled brown hair and sharp black eyes. He stood apart from the others, quietly observing. She recognized him as Lord Casion, one of the 12 knights, though he wasn't particularly high-ranking. Lily's heart skipped a beat. "Who's that?" she whispered to her maid, her gaze lingering on him. "That's Lord Casion," the maid replied, trying to contain her excitement. "But princess, he's from a lower class. He's not someone." Lily didn't hear the rest. Lower class or not, that man looks like he stepped right out of a romance novel. She found herself drawn to him, curiosity and something deeper pulling her toward the knight who stood in the shadows. As if sensing her attention, Casion turned his head and met her gaze. Lily felt a strange flutter in her chest, something she hadn't expected. In that moment, she realized she wasn't just playing the part of Leyland, she was living it. And if she had any say in the matter, her story was going to unfold very differently from the one in the book. At the lavish ball, the grand chandeliers bathed the room in a golden glow, reflecting off the polished floors and glittering gowns of the aristocracy. Guests mingled, danced, and whispered as Lily, now inhabiting the body of the infamous villainess Leyland, watched from across the room. Her mind buzzed with thoughts, not of the party's glamour, but of the unexpected twists her new life had taken. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected to be so completely pulled into the life of a woman who was supposed to be a villain, cold, cruel, and calculating. But things felt different now. She didn't want to play the villainess, not in the way the story intended. As her eyes scanned the room, they landed on him again. Lord Casion, the commoner knight with striking brown hair and sharp, unreadable black eyes. He stood apart from the crowd, his posture rigid as if he didn't quite belong here. Lily's gaze lingered, unable to pull herself away. There was something about him, something intriguing and mysterious. Before she could stop herself, she found her mind wandering. Asterisk, could I dance with him? Would it be so bad? Asterisk. Suddenly, Casion's eyes flicked up, meeting hers. She froze, her heart skipping a beat. His expression was unreadable, a mix of curiosity and mild confusion. Asterisk, oh no. Did he notice me staring? Asterisk. Casion furrowed his brow slightly, his lips forming a small frown. Why do you keep looking at me? His voice cut through the noise of the ballroom, but it wasn't angry, just puzzled. Lily's face flushed in embarrassment. Asterisk, what was she doing? Asterisk, this wasn't how it was supposed to go. She'd never been good at these high society games, even back in her old life. I wasn't looking at you, she stammered, heat rushing to her cheeks. She could feel her pulse in her ears. So embarrassing. Casion raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. Are you saying I was mistaken? Lily swallowed hard, trying to regain her composure. No, I wasn't looking for that reason, she blurted out, instantly regretting it. The tension hung in the air for a moment, thick and awkward. Her thoughts raced. Why did they say this is how it works? She remembered hearing about how a lady's gaze could signal interest in a dance. But now that she was face to face with the reality of it, she felt completely out of her depth. She glanced around, searching for backup, but the other ladies were just as shocked and flustered as she was. I was looking because you're handsome. The words slipped out before she could stop them, her heart racing as Casion's frown deepened. What are you talking about? He replied, his tone flat and impossible to read. Oh no, this isn't going well, Lily mentally facepalmed, wishing she could disappear. I was wondering if I could dance with someone as handsome as you, she mumbled, her voice barely audible. Casion blinked, his expression softening slightly. He opened his mouth to respond, but hesitated, glancing around at the curious stares from the other guests. He finally spoke, his voice quieter. You're easier to read than I thought. Lily's heart pounded in her chest. What does he mean by that? Casion, clearly not used to these formal gatherings, looked slightly out of place despite his confident demeanor. I apologize, he said, his tone softer now. I'm misunderstood. I've never been to one of these events before. So that's it, Lily realized. He's not rejecting me. He's just unfamiliar. She felt a strange sense of relief wash over her. But before she could say anything else, he turned to leave. I'll excuse myself, Casion said, nodding politely. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Lily's mouth opened in protest, but no words came out as he disappeared into the crowd. Her hand instinctively reached out, but she stopped herself. Wait. I was asking for a dance, not a goodbye. Aisha, one of Lily's closest ladies-in-waiting, stepped up beside her, trying to offer some comfort. I can't believe he rejected your request, princess, she whispered, shaking her head in disbelief. What was that commoner thinking? Lily sighed, frustrated. It's fine, Aisha, she muttered. I'm just making a fool of myself now. She looked down at her gown, feeling the weight of her title pressing on her shoulders. I'm supposed to be a prospective crown princess, not chasing after a commoner. But as the night continued, Lily couldn't stop thinking about Casion. His serious, unreadable face, the way he stood apart from the crowd. There was something captivating about him, something that drew her in despite herself. She had to find out more about him. But for now, she needed to let it go before rumors spread and ruined everything. As the night wound down, Lily returned to her chambers, her head buzzing with 1,000 thoughts. A small smile crept onto her lips. This world is more complicated than I thought, she mused. But I'm not playing by their rules anymore. She would find out who Casion really was. And maybe, just maybe, she'd rewrite her story and his along the way. The flickering lamplight cast long shadows across the dimly lit room, where Lily, now in the body of the Duchess's daughter, sat waiting impatiently. She tapped her fingers against the wooden table, a mix of excitement and impatience churning inside her. She had finally arrived at the notorious Information Guild, known for its network of spies and secrets. And today, she was going to meet the elusive master himself. She glanced at the assistant standing before her, clearly nervous. Is it not enough? She asked, her voice cool and composed, masking the firestorm of emotions swirling beneath. What reason do you have for delaying? Bring him here. The assistant, wide-eyed, stammered. Tell me what information you're requesting first. Lily narrowed her eyes. Are you going to bring him or not? Her tone sharpened, and she leaned forward slightly, making it clear she wasn't playing around. The assistant practically jumped, nodding frantically. Please wait one moment. He scampered off, disappearing into the maze of hallways behind him. Lily smirked, leaning back in her chair. Cool. I've always wanted to do something like this, but the thrill was short-lived. A dark thought crept in her mind, and her smirk faltered. Don't tell me he ran after taking my money? She felt a pang of dread. My 700 million, Jenny. If he's trying to pull something, I swear. Her thoughts were interrupted by the assistant, who came rushing back. Miss. I called for him, but it'll take some time. How long? Lily asked, her voice tight. About an hour, the assistant squeaked. Lily's eyes narrowed. An hour? That wouldn't do. I'll add a pouch for every 5-minute reduction, she offered, her words smooth but laced with a dangerous edge. The assistant looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Excuse me for a moment, he yelped, darting off again. Lily couldn't help but chuckle. That was fast. As she waited, her thoughts drifted back to the dress. That dress. The one she had almost fought the female lead over on her first day here. It had been the master of this very Information Guild who had gifted it, completely unprovoked. And because of that, she had gotten into an embarrassing, unnecessary spat at the party. Am I wrong for wanting to see the man behind such a mess? Minutes later, the door opened, and in walked the master. His navy blue hair caught the low light, and his dark blue eyes glimmered with intelligence. He was tall, commanding, and devastatingly handsome. With that face, Lily thought, why is he only the second male lead? She nearly laughed out loud at the thought. What a waste! He approached her with a calm, steady gait, his expression unreadable. Why were you looking for me? He asked, his voice low and smooth, betraying no emotion. Lily leaned forward, staring at him intently. I wanted to see the face of the idiotic blackmailer who was so crazy about a woman that he even committed burglary, she said, her tone dripping with mockery. The master blinked, caught off guard. I have no other requests, she added, sitting back and crossing her arms, waiting for his reaction. The man's eyes narrowed in confusion. What? What do you mean, what? That's all, Lily repeated. He stared at her, incredulous. You spent this much money for that? Lily gave him a slow smile. What else would I need? The master exhaled, clearly frustrated but keeping his composure. You probably made a lot of money today, Lily said, standing up and adjusting her gown. So, I hope you pay Rosemary for the dress. The master's eyes widened, but before he could respond, she added with a sly grin, then have a good life. Without waiting for his reaction, she turned and walked toward the door, her footsteps echoing in the quiet room. After she left, the master stood there, dumbfounded. Lucas, has that woman left? He muttered, rubbing his temples. Lucas, his right-hand man, appeared at his side. Yes, sir. No matter how wealthy the Casion duchy is, who would have thought she would drop 2 billion Jenny in just a few minutes? It was 1.89 billion, to be exact, the master corrected. Lucas shook his head. So, what kind of grand request did she make? The master sighed, still confused. There was no request. What? Lucas looked at him in disbelief. No request. She came to see my face, apparently, the master muttered, still trying to wrap his mind around it. He was used to people coming to him for power, for secrets, for assassinations. Not this. Lucas grinned, sensing his superior's discomfort. The princess likes to wear expensive rosemary dresses, huh? The master ran a hand through his hair. If she were someone who despised those with low rank, she wouldn't have told me to pay for others. There's something different about her, he mused, his mind racing. She's not what I expected. Lucas raised an eyebrow, intrigued. So, what now? I think I need to buy a noble title, the master said, surprising even himself with the words. Lucas let out a disbelieving laugh. What happened to you fussing over every penny? You always said it was a waste of money. The master shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. Maybe I fell in love. Lucas burst out laughing. Are you in love with her? Or her wealth? The master chuckled, feeling a rare warmth bloom inside him. Maybe both. He shook his head, still trying to figure out the strange woman who had just turned his world upside down. I've never met anyone as cunning as that woman, he admitted, half amused, half bewildered. Lucas gave him a sideways glance, shaking his head. You're a weirdo too, you know that? The master smirked. Why? Isn't a capable woman cool? As Lily stepped down from the carriage, Becky, her ever-dutiful maid, rushed over. My lady, you're back already? She asked, her face a mix of concern and surprise. Lily had been out handling business that should have taken much longer. Yet here she was back so soon. I thought you'd be worried that I was off alone, Lily teased, a hint of mischief in her voice. But you seem pretty relaxed. Becky blushed, clearly not expecting such playful banter. Who in the Empire would dare to touch you? She said with conviction, and there was truth in her words. In this world, Lily's status alone kept many at bay, and anyone who underestimated her quickly learned their mistake. Lily waved her hand dismissively. Did you get the request like you wanted? Becky asked eagerly, curious if Lily had gotten what she needed from the guild. Ah, that? Lily smirked, raising a finger to her lips. Show, what you don't know won't hurt you. Becky's eyes widened. Oh my. Yes, my lady is right, she agreed, though she couldn't hide her curiosity. Despite her lady's many eccentricities, Becky admired her and always wanted to understand the complex layers beneath. As the carriage ride back home jolted along, Becky groaned, clearly uncomfortable. I really can't get used to this carriage, she sighed, rubbing her lower back. Lily handed her a water flask. Drink some water, Becky. She gave a rare, soft smile. And relax. Maybe I'll start a carriage business one day. Becky blinked, startled. Bee business? The thought of her lady, who was already juggling too much, starting a business seemed absurd. What's wrong with your face? Lily laughed, watching Becky's expression shift from shock to concern. Then, as if remembering something long buried, she sighed. Ah, that's right. Villainess Yinny always wanted to start a business. A flicker of sadness danced in her eyes, though she masked it quickly. But as swiftly as the somber mood arrived, Lily perked up again, her mind running wild with ideas. I have a good feeling, Becky. I'll run a luxurious perfume business. With only the best scents. Imagine it, custom perfumes for today's special customer. Becky, trying to keep up with Lily's rapidly changing thoughts, could only nod. That sounds wonderful, my lady. But Lily's ambitious dreams seemed to be a constant struggle, never quite finding the success she hoped for. Every venture ended up with surprising results. No attention, no profit, no glory. Meanwhile, her rival, Iris, seemed to succeed at every turn, with her perfume business now the talk of the town. Iris's perfume business is a big hit, Lily muttered under her breath, eyes narrowing in frustration. But Becky, I have a very good feeling about this time. This year's fashion trend will be chiffon velvet. Becky could only smile sympathetically. She had seen this confidence before, many times in fact, but she admired Lily's resilience, even if each plan seemed to crumble. Suddenly, a commotion caught Lily's attention. "Becky, look over there," she said, her eyes narrowing as she spotted a figure with brown hair in the distance. "Isn't that Casion? And Lady Iris with him?" Becky squinted, trying to see what her lady saw. "It seems like them." Lily smirked. "I'm telling you, she's the real queen bee around here." Becky glanced at her. "He's just a handsome extra character, right? He can't be important. Is he a second male lead?" Lily wondered aloud, the gears in her mind turning. She studied their expressions. Casion looked stiff, as if forced to accompany Iris. His straight face told her everything she needed to know. "He doesn't even seem close to her," Lily mused. "Look at him. He's just there." Despite the intrigue of watching her rivals, something about seeing Casion with Iris felt off. "You're quite impressive, Crown Prince," Lily thought aloud, talking more to herself than to Becky now. "But she could at least share him with me." Just as Lily was getting lost in her thoughts, she heard a voice, faint at first, but growing louder in her mind. "Miss Author." It echoed in her head, a strange pull as if someone from another world was calling out to her. Then, her name, or rather a name from another life, Casion. "Casion," the voice shouted. "Are you back to your senses?" Lily's eyes blinked open, and the bright, sterile light of a classroom hit her. She gasped, her heart racing, disoriented. Wasn't she just in her world? Now, she was here again, back in this mundane reality. Ms. Yang, her teacher, stood over her. "Do you remember? You collapsed in class. Are you okay?" Casion, Lily in her other life, winced. "Malnutrition," Ms. Yang continued, passing her a report. "You need to go to the hospital after class today." Casion's heart sank. "Not again. Please tell me you didn't call my home," she begged. Ms. Yang shook her head with a sigh. "No, I didn't. But you still need to get checked." Casion nodded numbly. She knew what would happen if her family found out. She always had to walk a tightrope, making sure she didn't upset her father. "If I go in now, he'll yell at me for coming home early." She couldn't bear the thought. "I'll hide in the alley until it's time for school to end," she decided, thinking of ways to avoid confrontation. In this world, just as in the one she woke up in, running was her only option. She was always running, away from the constant tension at home, from her father's anger, from the endless weight of expectations. Yet, no matter how hard she ran, she always found herself standing on the edge of an endless cliff, unable to escape. When she was younger, her mother had tried to help. "I'm sorry, Casion," her mother used to whisper, tears in her eyes. Mom couldn't do anything, but Casion had learned to smile through it all. "It's okay, Mom. I'll work even harder. I'll live with it, no matter what." She had sworn to herself that she would rely on no one but herself. And now, she carried that same resolution into this dream world where she was Lily, the Duchess's daughter. As she snapped back to the present, Becky was at her side again. "My lady, what's wrong?" she asked, seeing the faraway look in Lily's eyes. Lily shook her head, as if waking from a long dream. "Becky, bring me a hot tea," she said, her voice steady. Becky rushed to comply. "Yes, my lady. I'll bring it right away." As she waited, Lily stared out the window, the distant memories of her other life fading like mist. This dream. I wish I could stay in it just a little longer. Lily and Camion lounged on her plush velvet sofa, gazing out the tall windows of her estate with a sigh. "Becky, she called, her voice carrying the weight of boredom. I'm bored. Her maid, Becky, looked up from the stack of letters on the desk. But, milady, you have a pile of party invitations. You're bored. Becky couldn't believe her ears. You really should attend some of them. Staying at home all the time isn't a good look for a lady. Lillian groaned dramatically, flipping over onto her stomach like a frustrated child. Please stop with the lady this, lady that. The parties are fun the first or second time, but after that, she trailed off, her voice thick with boredom. What she really wanted was something more exciting, something different. I just want to go on my phone or watch TV. Refreshing romance stories are the best when you're feeling down, you know? Becky, ever the dutiful maid, smiled patiently. Milady, perhaps a change of scenery is what you need. How about a visit to the Norell district? Lillian's eyes lit up with interest. Norell? Didn't I say I wasn't interested in that place because it's for commoners? She sat up, her curiosity piqued. But I've heard there's a lot to see there. Let's go. I heard it's lively and the area's clean. Surprised by her sudden change of heart, Becky replied, Then I'll prepare a casual dress for you, milady. I should inform the guards as well. As Becky turned to leave, Lillian called after her. Huh? I thought you'd disagree. Why are you so agreeable today? Becky paused, her back still to Lillian. She wasn't one to question her lady's whims, but something in Lillian's tone felt different. Perhaps because you had a nightmare last night, milady, she said softly before hurrying out of the room. Lillian watched her go, her mind wandering. This version of herself, the Villainess as they called her, constantly changed maids, but Becky had always remained. Maybe it was because she'd been by Lillian's side since childhood. But there was something more to it. Becky was quick to read the room, quick to lighten the mood, and flexible in ways that no one else could match. Becky, Lillian whispered to herself, a playful smile tugging at her lips. You'd blend in perfectly if you miraculously fell into my world. The thought amused her, Becky in a different life, in a different story. But for now, there were more pressing matters, like her impending trip to Norell. As the carriage bumped along the cobbled streets of Norell, Lillian grimaced, clutching her stomach. Ugh, I can't with these carriages. They're the worst, she complained, barely able to keep her composure. Becky, sensing her discomfort, urged, Milady, please take a break here. I'll go and buy nausea medicine. She hopped out of the carriage and hurried toward a nearby shop. While waiting, Lillian spotted a group of puppies tumbling about playfully. Her eyes sparkled. Oh my, you're all so cute, she cooed, stepping closer to the dogs. Where did you come from? A mischievous thought crossed her mind. Should I just take one? She mused aloud, recalling someone's words, if you want something, just take it. Before she could act on the impulse, a voice interrupted. Lady Casion? She froze. That voice. No way, turning around, her heart skipped a beat. Sir Casion? She gasped, barely believing her eyes. What was he doing here? The police asked for help, he explained with a casual shrug. But more importantly, what are you doing here, milady? His sharp gaze softened as he noticed the puppies. The people over there were looking for their lost dogs. Please hand him over. Lillian blushed, awkwardly placing the puppy back on the ground. I was bored, she muttered, embarrassed. Sir Casion tilted his head. Bored? I came as a market researcher. Lillian blurted, trying to save face. A market researcher? Cassian's eyebrow raised skeptically, but he didn't press further. Lillian, eager to change the subject, cleared her throat. Sir Casion, isn't your work tiring? I mean, being a knight and all. His expression darkened slightly. It is an honor that a mere commoner like me was given the position of knight, he said, his tone edged with sarcasm. Lillian blinked. Was he being sarcastic, or was it just her imagination? She suddenly felt awkward, unsure of how to respond. You've done well, she blurted, hoping to lighten the mood. I mean, you should come to my estate sometime. I've been thinking, my mansion's big, and there's plenty of room if you ever need a place. Cassian's eyes widened in surprise. Come over? Lillian's heart raced. Why did I say that? She thought, panic rising. I just mean you work hard and I appreciate it. That's all, she fumbled. If that upset you, I'm sorry, she added quickly, her face flushing. Cassian shook his head, his expression softening. There's no need to apologize. You're not in the wrong, Tin. Lillian stammered, feeling the awkwardness settling between them. I'll be off. See you next time, Sir Cassian. She hurriedly turned and made her way back toward the carriage, heart pounding. Wait, Cassian called after her, but she didn't stop. Once she was back in the carriage, Becky, who had returned unnoticed, looked at her with wide eyes. That's it? You just left? Becky scolded, shaking her head. Milady, you really should learn more about dating. Dating? Lillian's face turned red. Becky, if someone says, come live with me, who in their right mind would just say, of course, let's go? Becky laughed softly. How long have you known him? Lillian thought for a moment. I talked to him for about 5 minutes the last time, and I think this was the second. Becky raised an eyebrow. And yet you still said that to him? Lillian buried her face in her hands. Why did I do that? I must have been out of my mind. Becky chuckled, patting her on the back. Milady, I understand. He's too handsome for me to scold you. Lillian peeked up from her hands, half teasing, half earnest. Is he hotter than me? Becky grinned. Maybe, but don't worry. You've still got charm. Leyland stared at the bustling marketplace with a mix of excitement and trepidation. It felt like a scene ripped straight from a novel. Bright colors, laughter, and the rich aroma of street food wafting through the air. But what really caught her eye was Lucas, the handsome man who had just strolled into her vision. Lucas, she muttered under her breath, feeling a flutter of something like admiration, or maybe panic. Ugh. Life inside a novel is too good to be true. He was so good-looking it almost felt unfair. Shaking her head to clear her thoughts, she reminded herself that this was reality, not a fairy tale. Get it together, Leyland, she chastised herself. After all, Lucas was here in the marketplace with her, and she couldn't let her imagination run wild. He was one of the men associated with the story's female lead, Iris. Why are you here? She blurted out, trying to mask her nervousness. Did you possibly follow me? Lucas raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his dark eyes. If I didn't, fine, he replied coolly, but something in his tone made her heart race. It was just a coincidence. It has to be a coincidence. She could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on her. I'm meeting someone here too, she added, desperation creeping into her voice. Look, I really was meeting someone, right? She insisted, feeling a heat rise in her cheeks. Don't look over here. Don't act like you know me. Why is this happening? Leyland wondered as she glanced at him. It was a dream come true, but it was mirroring the world of the novel a bit too perfectly. Why were they running into each other on the one day she decided to escape the confines of her usual life? I came out to relax, she continued, frustration spilling from her lips. I don't want to deal with someone who charges at me with fire in her eyes whenever she sees me. Lucas chuckled, a deep sound that sent shivers down her spine. What's with that expression? Don't talk to me, she snapped, her bravado not quite matching her inner turmoil. Excuse me, my lady. He smirked, a teasing glint in his eye. You're all so perceptive. Thank you, she muttered, feeling flustered. What is it? He asked, studying her with a curiosity that made her heart flutter. It's the dress you gave me last time, she said, her voice softer now. Why are you giving it back? Why? I thought about it, and I can't accept something this expensive. I wore it once, but you should be able to sell it for nearly full price even if it's secondhand. Lucas shrugged, his expression shifting from playful to serious. It's not even that expensive. Oh, really? You're acting differently. Don't you usually hate wasting a single Jenny? Leyland felt a twinge of sympathy for him, realizing he was navigating his own issues. So that's why he ran over that time, huffing and puffing, she thought. I saw someone toss 1,890,000,000 Jenny recently, he admitted, shaking his head in disbelief. I've forgotten the value of money. Are there people like that? She asked, genuine envy creeping into her voice. I'm a little envious of people like that, he said, incredulous. Well, that person is rich. Anyhow, did this dress solve the problem of you sitting pathetic by the fountain? Pathetic? She echoed, incredulous. To be honest, it didn't work out. A caterpillar can't become a real butterfly by sticking on some wings, Lucas said, his voice steady. What? Did the butterflies say something? Leyland inquired, her heart heavy. She said I would never wear something like this again, Lucas replied. So, I should enjoy while I can. She said she didn't know where I got it, but I shouldn't keep reusing the same expensive dress. That's brutal, Leyland muttered, feeling for him. You help me because I can't buy expensive dresses like this. Sorry. He waved her off, a grin creeping across his face. You were trying to cheer me up? Wow. That butterfly. I don't know who she is, but she's amazing. Isn't she? Leyland replied, but a hint of bitterness tinged her words. She can say things like that because she's rich, right? If I were that wealthy, I'd be arrogant too. I'm jealous. I want an easygoing life like that, she admitted, allowing her frustration to seep out. Where I can toss around 1,890,000,000 Jenny. Lucas raised an eyebrow. You really are strange today, Leyland. Aren't capable people amazing? Capable, she scoffed. Tina? That woman isn't capable. She was just born into the right family. I know, okay. That's why I'm keeping quiet. Why am I being criticized for this? She thought, fuming. I'm letting it go because I don't want to tear into hard-working people like an unemployed trust fund baby. As they walked, the atmosphere shifted. The air felt charged, and she could almost hear the familiar cliché unfolding around them. When the smart, confident female lead is harassed by the villainess, she complains to a love interest and requests his help. Leyland murmured, half to herself. Then the love interest says, use me, let me help you, and helps her wreck the villainess. Lucas caught her gaze, his expression thoughtful. You led a diligent life in the novel, so I'll hold back. You had a lot of debt, and you started the perfume business with my help. Wasn't her dress business successful? Why is she still poor? Leyland shrugged, her thoughts racing. I didn't read too closely, so I can't remember. As the banter continued, an unexpected chaos erupted around them. What's that? What's with that appearance? Someone shouted, frustration boiling over. Are you serious? How slow are you? Can't you move any faster? What the hell? What a piece of garbage. The words hung in the air, a reminder of the turbulent life Leyland tried to escape. In that moment, she realized that life inside a novel wasn't as simple as it seemed. There were layers of emotion, misunderstandings, and a reality that often clashed with her dreams. But with Lucas by her side, perhaps she could navigate this world with a little more confidence and find a way to write her own story. The air was thick with tension as the scene unfolded in the dimly lit alley. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows that danced around the figures huddled together. At the center of it all stood a young shifter, shackled and trembling. His unique features a testament to a lineage hidden away for centuries. A voice sliced through the atmosphere like a knife, filled with contempt. I paid good money for you, but you're useless, a man shouted, venom dripping from every word. You should be grateful I took you in, with your filthy blood. The shifter flinched, pain and shame flashing across his face. I'm sorry, he began, but the man cut him off. Be quiet. Transform and get to work, he barked, his impatience palpable. Leyland, who had been observing from the shadows, felt a surge of anger as she watched the exchange. How could someone treat another human being like that? She thought. The shifter's wide, terrified eyes spoke volumes. He had changed, perhaps long ago, and was now trapped in a life he never asked for. What's caught your eye that you can't even hear someone calling you? A woman's voice chimed in, startling Leyland. She spun around to see her friend, Iris, who had been watching the same scene unfold. Wait, where's Iris? Leyland asked, her heart racing. She left a while ago. What were you looking at? Iris inquired, her gaze sharp. Ah, shifter? Leyland exclaimed, her curiosity piqued. I heard they went into hiding hundreds of years ago, but I guess they still show up now and then. But what's he doing over there? Some bastards take shifters as they please to use as slaves, Iris explained, her voice low and tense. The shifters are strong. Leyland's heart sank. Wait, he's a slave? I thought that system had long since disappeared from the continent. It's not like the shifters pay taxes, right? Iris replied, a flicker of sadness in her eyes. You didn't know this? No, Leyland murmured, the harsh reality dawning on her. They're not protected by the law, so you can use them as slaves if you want to. What is this? She said, glancing back at the shifter. Do shifters always look like that? I guess the rich ladies wanted him, because he's unique. I think that's why he's burned, Iris remarked, shaking her head. It's ridiculous. Someone who is scared and can't fight back. Why are you shackled up like that? Suddenly, the man who had been shouting stepped closer to them. Becky, how much money do we have now? He asked, turning his attention away from the shifter. Since this is Norell, a poor area, I only brought about 10 million Jenny, she answered. That won't be enough. Go to Camion's bank and borrow money in my name, he commanded. If you take this, it'll be guaranteed. How long will it take? We're close to the bank, so it'll take half an hour, my lady, Becky replied, her voice steady but edged with concern. Is it okay to give her the ring? He asked, glancing back at Leylin. I trust her, and I'm in a hurry right now. Is that a big deal? Wow, I didn't think you'd be so clueless, Iris interjected, her eyes narrowing. Do you not comprehend it even after seeing the situation for yourself? Master of the Information Guild, at times like these, don't you think one should spend money like it's nothing? Come on, when are you planning to be done here? The man barked, irritation lacing his tone. You sloths! Who said you could take your time? You again, he shouted, pointing at the shifter. If you're exhausted, then shift to your animal form. Stand up at once. You damn. Excuse me, Leylin interrupted, stepping forward. I have an urgent question to ask, you see. You carry yourself like a young lady of noble rank, don't you? What business do you have here? Oh my, she exclaimed, feigning surprise. I knew I saw something sparkle all the way from the other side of the street. My attention kept being drawn to it. I became so curious, I could no longer bear it. She gestured dramatically toward the shifter, whose plight weighed heavily on her heart. That luxurious and unique dress. Where did you buy it? Pardon? The man snapped, his irritation evident. Hear me out, Leylin continued, pressing on despite the tension. I've been looking for a dress that would suit me, when all of a sudden the one you're wearing catches my eye and fits all the criteria. Are you kidding me? What do you take me for? What kind of nonsense are you spouting? I'm a man. Is that supposed to mean something? Men can wear dresses too. You're full of prejudice. What house do you belong to display such insolence? He spat. You're clearly an ill-bred child. Camion, she replied, her voice steady. Seen Mion? He stammered, shock plastered across his face. Why are you so surprised? Weren't you going to teach me the dignity of the nobility? Let's hear it. Just how great your rotten dignity is. What do you mean rotten? He exclaimed, his voice rising. You're being a bit too much. Am I being too much? What you've done to this kid is too much. Leylin shot back, her anger surging. What the hell? The kid is mine, isn't he? I don't want to sell him to you as your toy. So go away. Yours? A toy? You're such a... Leylin's voice rose, her indignation spilling over. There shouldn't be any slaves in the Empire. Emperor Cadrian banned slavery for every living being. No one should be harmed during his reign. He's a great hero who stopped a 100-year-old war. He even took the sword twice for his people. It was all to protect them from stuff like this. In that moment, Leylin realized she was speaking not just for herself, but for all those who had been silenced. The memories of the noblewoman she had glimpsed in passing surged through her, a blend of strength and compassion she had admired from afar. Oh, the man mused, tilting his head. I'm the one who opened my mouth, but it didn't feel like I was the one talking. Are these the memories of Villainess Uni? But he's not a slave. I'm taking care of him and protecting him, he protested weakly. I've only been generous, so the way you're treating me is unfair. Protecting him? Leylin echoed, incredulous. You abused him and call it protection? A nobleman should value pride and honor, and so we should keep him alive and well. It's my duty as a noblewoman to save innocent people from trash like you. What the hell are you going to? He stammered as Leylin stepped closer, her heart racing with resolve. This kid, she declared. I'll buy him. How much do you want? Determination filled her heart. Today, she wouldn't just be a bystander. She would take a stand against the injustice unfolding before her.